Have you all noticed that you're tight in places, like weird places that you were never achy and tight before, or like just a different body, right? Do you have a different body? My body, I'm like, hello, who are you? And so it's just, my practice the last few days has been trying to work with really great tenderness to my own body. And if it's tighter in parts where it didn't used to be tight, my mantra there, or my question is to say, hey body, what are you trying to protect me from? And letting it know we're okay now. Thanks for trying to protect me, and we're okay. And where it's softer in places where it didn't used to be so soft, or bigger in places where it wasn't so big. And I'm saying again, thank you, body, for trying to protect me. And it's okay now, we're okay. And so I offer that practice to you if you need that now or at any point. And I'm gonna hit the mute button, but you can always use the chat box, or if you have a burning question or thought, you can always unmute yourself and share it. So sitting in such a way that you might really truly believe that you're a magnificent being, because you sit in such a way as to remind yourself of your Buddha nature, of your magnificent nature. I heard Tara Brach, great Buddhist teacher, and she said that this pandemic is really bringing out the most primal in us, but also at the same time the most evolved. And so if you could just touch on that, like where is that happening in you? And to really, I've been doing a lot of this too. So if you wanted to, you could put a hand on the heart and a hand on the belly, or wherever it feels comforting to put your own hand on your skin. And to witness what's underneath there, what's under those hands. What are you feeling? What needs to be heard, what needs to be felt, what wants to be seen, what wants to be loved. And whatever you're bringing with you today, that's the fuel for the practice, whether it's joy and delight and love, or whether it's heartbreak and grief and frustration, or anything in between. And just acknowledge it and take a moment to try to feel where you feel it. Where's the epicenter of the feeling in your body? When you think about what it is you're bringing with you, what emotion, what feeling, try to locate it. For me, it's been way down in my gut, or it might be in your chest. Maybe it's in your face. And when you find that epicenter, can you start to make some space around it? Almost like when you drop a pebble into a pond and it makes those rings that you could widen, like Rumi says, an ever widening rings of being. That from that epicenter of where the sensation is the strongest, where the emotion is the strongest, you let yourself start to expand outwards. And you could say to yourself, there's room for this. Let's give it some space. And then you could Om with me if you like, or you could just listen. So we'll begin in something, it's called the pontoon series bridge. A pontoon is a bridge basically, but in yin yoga, we always try to call things with different names so that you don't do them the same way you normally would. So a block, if you got it, this will be the only time you need that block or whatever prop is serving as a block for you, whether it's books or a pasta pot or a cat. This cat's big enough. And he's lazy enough. I probably could sit on him. But you're going to take your block and put it underneath you, and you choose if you want it short or medium. Just short or medium for today. I wouldn't suggest the high setting, just for where we're going to go with this. And we just start simple with this bridge shape, this pontoon shape. And I'm going to tell you a story, actually, while you're here. So take as long as you need to. For those of you who haven't done yin with me, there's no alignment. You are the boss of you, okay? Nobody is in your body but you. So you make your body the most comfortable home in each shape. Comfortable and feel something. Yin is all about the meeting place between sensation and ease. That somehow we can live and have both of those things happening. You can feel a lot, but you can also be at ease. And if you need to shift and move and wiggle, you don't have to stay still, okay? So you can wiggle around as much as you need to. You can take the whole time of the pose just to get into the pose, and you're still doing it right. So the story is about this bodhisattva called Avalokiteshvara. And Avalokiteshvara in Buddhism is considered the bodhisattva of compassion. The female version is Guan Yin or Tara. And there's a story about Avalokiteshvara climbing up this mountain. And the mountain is like us doing our best to do our practices, right? Yoga, and we meditate or we chant or whatever they might be. We just try to be the best version of us that we can be, which sometimes feels like climbing up a big tall mountain. It's not so easy some days. And so Avalokiteshvara does all these practices, does so much yoga, and finally reaches the top of the mountain. And at the top of the mountain, there's a beautiful stone wall. And he knows in his heart that if he goes over this wall, that's it. That's enlightenment. That's like ecstasy beyond ecstasy. There's no coming back to this human form. And so he starts to lift one leg up and reach it over the wall. And as soon as he does, he hears these cries from way down below at the bottom of the mountain. And he knows that there's people down there that are suffering. And he thinks, how can I do that? Who am I? Who am I to just only care about my own enlightenment and just go and leave all these people crying? And so he makes this vow and he says, I'm going to save everyone. I'm going to come back down that mountain and try to help everybody. And if I break my vow, may my head explode into 100 pieces. And so he does. And so instead of going over the wall, he goes back down the mountain and starts to help people. And pretty quickly realizes that there's a whole lot of people that need help, more than he thought. And B, some of them are jerks and they don't want help. They don't want to be better. And he got really frustrated and he thought, forget this. If I can't save everybody, it's hopeless. I should just save myself. And in that moment, what happened? His head exploded into 100 pieces. And so the Buddha, all of a sudden in that moment, the Buddha descended. And the Buddha lovingly picked up all the pieces of Avalokiteshvara's broken head and put them back together. And as he was doing so, he's talking to Avalokiteshvara. He says, what's the matter? And Avalokiteshvara explains, I'm just so frustrated and overwhelmed, and there's just so much suffering, and I can't fix it all. And the Buddha says, well, that's just how it is. I can't tell you that that's not true. But here's what I'll do. I'm going to give you not just one head, I'm going to give you 100 heads so that you have 200 eyes so that you can see more and know where you're needed. And then I'm going to give you 1,000 arms and 1,000 hands so that you can help so many more people. And so Avalokiteshvara is this beautiful being with not just 1,000 hands, but in the center of each palm is another eye. So that he can see all the people that need loving. You can take a modification here. If you wanted to, you could walk your legs out until they're straight. And you can check in and be honest about it, that, if this works or if this doesn't work for your body. You don't need to get nitpicky about what your legs are doing, whether they naturally roll in or out or want to be closer or further together. Just let them be. Let it land where it lands. At any point, you can back it up and put your feet back down on the ground. So I've been thinking about that story a lot. I heard Pema Chodron the other day, and she was talking about, well, we think of the spiritual journey like a mountain, but it's actually like an upside down mountain. We're actually going to the bottom of the mountain, deeper into our lives and deeper into the suffering actually of the world, but also the beauty. And so could you deepen the experience of being in your body right now? Could you let your awareness go all the way into your bones? So we'll do one more add-on here if you so choose. And this one might be challenging. And so you're very free to say no, thank you. But you could bend one leg so that the toes tuck under and the top of the foot comes to the floor like a half virasana or a half yin. It's a half saddle. And if you're not sure and you need to peek at the computer, you can see me doing it. So I have one leg that's tucked underneath me. Kind of seems to work better when the block is on its medium side, I think. But you could try it both ways. And you might feel a lot here, which is okay if it's manageable. But if it's not livable, if it's unmanageable, come back to two long legs, okay? So I'll tell you, we'll do both sides of this. I'll give you time to do both sides. So I'll let you know when to switch legs. But for now, can you come back to that sense of descending? Going down the mountain, down and in. Hey, Heather. So we're here on the block with one leg bent in half saddle, one leg straight, only if it's manageable. So we'll be here on this side. You could take maybe 2 more breaths, maybe 3, depending on how okay you are here, how much you can receive this shape. You need to come out, you come out. Then in another moment, you can switch legs. Go ahead and bring that one out. Tuck the other one underneath. Right? Or if you're still in long legs or bent knees with both feet on the floor, great. Stay there. You're good. We're almost done here. This is our last little bit. So check in to see where there's resistance, where your body's trying to protect you. where your mind is trying to protect you. And you can say, it's okay. We're okay now. A few more breaths. If your leg was tucked back, you could untuck it. And if your legs are long, bring both feet back to the floor. So we'll just back it up to where we started. And then you can press down into your feet to lift your hips up and take whatever's underneath you out, move it off to the side, let your spine feel the ground again, bones pressing into the earth, settling and recovering. So, what is your body call for? What is it longing for? A windshield wiper of the knees, or a hug and a rock? Anything goes. There's absolutely no wrong answer. Take a half a minute or so to let your body show you the way, like you're going through the rinse cycle. Oh, I didn't, mention it, but if you haven't turned your music on and you wanted to, you could, of course. So we're going to do a little sequence of 3 poses together and then repeat them again. We'll do them each twice. The first one is toes pose. I saw this called toe breaker the other day. I think that's not very nice. We're not going to call it that. We'll call it the toe lover. How's that? That's better. So it's this one where you tuck your toes under and you sit on your heels. And we're going to add some mudras to it. Um, if you need to at any point, instead of doing that, instead of coming off of the toes, for some relief, you could try just lifting your hips up and then maybe coming back down as you're able to. But never to the point. We're not here to torture ourselves. Okay, this is not a practice of self-hatred. It's self-love. And so if you need relief, you give yourself relief. With your toes tucked, take your hands, hook the fingers, and give your elbows a little tug apart. Right, Ganesha, this is the obstacle pose. Sometimes we need them in our way to help us grow. Sometimes we need them out of the way. What do you need? When we feel an obstacle, we can remember that we will rise, soon we'll rise. Bring the heels of your hands and the edges of your thumbs and baby fingers together for the lotus. And the Lotus Mudra reminds you that you will rise, no matter how murky and uncertain and muddy it gets. One day we'll rise. And then you can interlace your fingers over your heart. Faith mudra, trust. Of this we can be sure. And then you can take your hands and just reach them out in front of you with the palms open like an offering. Like, here, let me take you with me. I'm going to rise and I'm going to bring you, like Avalokiteshvara. I'm going to take you all up the mountain with me. To where? To freedom. Hook your thumbs. Actually, you can take the hands and face them to you and just hook your thumbs and bring that over your heart. Garuda Mudra for freedom. And then you can release your toes, drop your hands to the floor. Oh, thank goodness, right? Roll the toes around, the ankles around. Like, oh, thank you, body, for letting me feel. I just keep thinking about all the people who don't have a practice, right? It's a scary world out there. Can you imagine if you didn't have some sort of practice? Oh man, so we do it for them too, not just for us. We do it, go down the mountain so we can bring them with us. So we're going to take the dangle. It's a standing pose. You can come up to stand, and it's exactly like what it sounds like. We're just going to dangle, and your knees are going to stay a little bit soft, okay? Your shoulders can round forward. Your head can be heavy and drop, and you're thinking of coiling. So we're not going like usual straight leg forward bend. We're all soft and we're rounding. And this is so not about your hamstrings. It's about your spine, your back, all the tissues of your back. And so it's like you're dripping your upper body down just little by little by little. And you can keep your knees soft the whole time and just hang. Let your jaw come unhinged a little bit. Your cheeks be soft. Your tongue be soft. Imagine your brain falling to the top of your skull. Gravity helping you get even softer. Descend even more. And then we turn that one into the squat, which I don't think it has a yin name, actually. Maybe some of you know, but I think it's just squat every which way you do it. If you need your prop, you could take your prop and you could sit on it. Otherwise, you're just hanging out like that. I like, actually, well, you can take the hands. It's one of my favorite variations, is to bring the palms together and the thumbs come to the third eye. And you can just drop the weight of your head onto your thumbs. Your thumbs kind of hold you up. If you have a really busy mind, if you're feeling overloaded with information, you could even give it like a little massage of that frontal lobe of the brain, that critical analyzing part of our brain. That's what's right in the front. So can we give that part a break? Let's put that in Shavasana, okay? Let's put the frontal lobe of the brain, just say like, all right, you know, you're in Shavasana for the rest of the night. Feel free, you're not stuck in that one position. You could always explore if you wanted to move the head, the arms, and change something about your shape, you're welcome to. So we're going to run through all those same 3 poses in a row and do them one more time. So you can start to ease your way out of this onto your knees. If you need anything else in between, please take your time. We're not in any rush here, but you could sit back onto your curled up toes for toes pose, toes love. And you could take your Ganesha Mudra. Right, there might be some obstacles, might be bumping up against some stuff right now. But soon, collectively, we will rise. Take your Lotus Mudra, hands just touching at the edges, middle 3 fingers open. From the mud to the stars, up we go like a rocket ship. Are you sure? I'm sure. Hands over the heart, unshakable trust. There's enough of us, right? There's enough of us with a practice. There's enough of us with a heart. There's enough of us who care. We're going to bring the rest with us, aren't we? Open your palms out. Pushpaputta Mudra. Taking you all with me. Where? Freedom. Garuda Mudra. So wrists are crossed, thumbs are hooked. This is the mudra that reminds us that nobody has to change, that nothing actually, our situation, our humans around us, nothing has to change in order for us to be free. That's just a story we tell ourselves. And then you can release your hands to the floor, roll your toes and ankles around a bit. Take it into the dangle. Let's spend a little more time at the top of the dangle this time. So as you come to standing, you can stand, and I'll just talk you through it. I won't do it, but you're going to stand and just start by letting your knees get a little soft. Your shoulders round a little bit forward, and your chin just fall towards the notch on your collarbones. And then like your head is a bowling ball, you could let it start to roll down so that you could go from the top of the spine down just millimeter by millimeter, inching, and wherever you feel it. I don't know about you, but in this one, there's some spots in my back that are like, whoa, like I just hit hot lava or something. So if you hit any of those spots, or you need to live in one little area and stay a bit, you can stay there. We're not in a rush. We've got plenty of time to get to the bottom. It could take you the whole time before you even get to the bottom. Maybe you never even make it to the bottom because it's so interesting on the way there. Teeth easy, jaw unhinged, breathing in places where you normally breathe, but what about the places we don't think of? How about the backs of your ears? How about your inner elbows and the backs of your knees and the little divots on the back sides and the ankles? How about between your toes? Could you imagine a little nostril between each of your toes? Come down into the squat. So you make yourself as wide apart with the feet as need be. Heels don't have to be down. They never have to be. It could be that some people, their bone structure is such that they'll never get their heels down. And so don't worry about that part of it. You're free from that. If you want to, you put your hands at the heart this time, or you drop them. You can let your head drop and be really rounded here. You could use the thumbs on the third eye again. There's really no limit. You know, whatever you can imagine to do with your body here in this position, go for it. There's no wrong answer. We do want to be here with minimal effort, though. So whatever is the least that you could actively do to make this happen. Just another half a minute or so. Come out of this one suggestion is that you could walk your hands back and just plop your way down. Give your legs a little shake out in front of you. But if your body wants something different, you can honor that and do whatever your body is asking you for. Mine's been wanting touch a lot lately, like, take care of me, like a little kid that's going, mommy. Take a few moments, you honor whatever you need. And then we're gonna take frog pose, everybody's favorite, right? Let's try to not have any opinions. What would it be like to have no opinions? You can take many ways to do this, right? So you could have it where your feet are together, your big toes together, and your knees are wide, and you could come out like a wide child's pose, and that's one way to be. And I would suggest starting that way just to kind of ease yourself into it. This back a bit. Or, at some point, you could start to flip your toes out to face the opposite sides of the room and move your shins out so that they come underneath your knees. Any amount at all. The elbows can be down. Eventually, you could get your chest, belly, head down. You might turn your head to one side, but all in time, right? We've got our whole lives, and if you believe in reincarnation, probably a few more after that to work on this. So no rush at all. You're going to feel a lot here, right? This is definitely one of the big feeling ones. So how do we, instead of reacting, can we respond from love? Instead of reacting from fear or discomfort, can we notice what we feel and respond from a place of love? You might notice again where's the epicenter of what I'm feeling? Where's the eye of this sensation storm? And you can bring your mind's eye right to that place in your body. And imagine those rings widening around it. Imagine more space. Like ripples in a pond, ever widening out. Tara Brach says that the whole Bodhisattva path is about interrupting our fear-based patterns, right? Interrupting any fear-based pattern with a love response. Can we have the courage to feel everything really deeply and open our hearts and be tender? Stay one more minute. So if you're happy living here, you stay right here. If you want to deepen it, or if you want to make it more gentle, please do. Might feel nice to bring it through a child's pose for a little bit. Gather yourself back together before really moving and rinsing. Just come to child's pose. If that doesn't feel good, then you can shake it out any which way. If it feels okay, come to child's pose and just be there for 30 seconds. So another half a minute to rinse that one off. If you want to stay right where you are, if child's pose is what you need, stay. Otherwise, you can come up and move around. There's no rush. We're gonna finish it up with a butterfly pose. So when you do feel ready to emerge from your child's cocoon, you can come to butterfly, which could look like Baddha Konasana. The feet could be close to you, or it could look further away like Tarasana. Again, no rules. Isn't that can be kind of frustrating sometimes, right? When there's no rules. But also really freeing. And so you could take a forward fold here that suits you. You've got a prop if you wanted to put your head on it or your arms on it, or you could just always hang out in space, let gravity do the heavy work. Take a deep breath down into your bones. We're in Taurus season. Taurus season is my favorite. And it's all about embodiment. Taurus is so embodied. It's about like relishing in the skin and bones in this body and all the lovely things like, eating and lovemaking and listening to beautiful music and, to like really feel your own bones here. Breathe into them like you could breathe right in, like you're watering your bone marrow with your breath. And let your bones give a big exhale. So you become like silk or cashmere. Wanted to read you a poem here in this last shape that was read today and I thought was really amazing. It's from someone named Toa Heftiba. If you want to just tune me out, that's really legal too. You can totally do that. Yesterday, I read a story about how during the very worst of it, lovers in Italy made secret dates to stand 6 feet apart in the grocery store line just for the gift of staring at each other, of saying the unsayable without being fined for breaking quarantine. And so they carefully scheduled their approved shopping and drove to the store through empty streets in cities full of missing, just for moments standing at a safe distance over carts full of food they took home to their respective houses to eat alone. I wonder if they FaceTimed later that day, planned their shopping around a shared menu, chopped garlic together and tomatoes, and carefully removed the cork from 2 bottles of wine and stared at each other from across a screen, speaking through eyes meeting across pixels just to stay as close as they could. Can you imagine how much they wanted each other then? How their desire must have lit up the wires, lines of current reaching across a sleeping city. And I thought, isn't that the most achingly beautiful and hopeful thing? How we want each other now. How aware we've become of what we are to each other. How tenaciously we insist on the very loving that's so often passed unnoticed. Like how the privilege of together pushing a single cart down an aisle with no empty shelves was entirely unremarkable until one day it wasn't. How beautifully fucked we all are, seeking a place to be and belong, turning toward each other again and again to untwist the insensible until it somehow makes sense. To be human is to be a lightning bolt forever seeking a place to ground, the charge that builds in our holy bodies, the electric pulse of our need. And I know well the magnet pull of desire, the thread of belonging, the singular pulse of home that would make it enough, just enough to stand in line at the grocery store. Almost, but not quite close enough to touch. So for the last minute, could you really let gravity have you? Let it deepen the pathway home into your body. And then little by little, you could start to come back. And with as little fuss as possible, you can make a place for yourself to rest. So you could be on your back or side or on your couch or on a pillow. If your body needs anything else before you rest, please take it. We'll do just 2 rounds of a simple pranayama practice before we totally drop into Shavasana. So take a moment to get settled. If you need your socks or a blanket, you could grab them. Or your cat on your belly. And then you could take a couple of breaths in and out just to clear the way. Breathing in, breathing out, clear the land. We'll do a Voloma breathing. So it's a 3-part inhale and 1 long exhale. So let all the breath out. And then breathe in just to the low belly, just 1/3 of the way. And when you reach the navel, pause. And then the second third, breathe in up through the side ribs, in between the ribs until you reach the creases of the armpits and pause there. And then fill all the way up through the chest, up to the collarbones, the front and back of the heart. When your whole body is full, your whole torso, hold the breath in, hold it in as long as you're comfortably able to before it gets too stressful. You could just exhale all the breath out. Take a resting breath in and out. And we could do that one last time. So getting ready by exhaling, and then your inhale will be the bottom third, the low belly only. And then up through the side ribs, filling the middle, up to the armpits. Hold the breath in. Try to keep your skin soft. And then you fill all the way up, filling yourself completely all the way up to the top of the heart, to the collarbones. And when you're totally full, hold the breath in, soft face, soft eyebrows, soft skin, quiet body. And then you can let it all out and take your rest in Shavasana. Whatever thoughts might arise when you notice them, you could just say to yourself, and this belongs. This wave of the ocean belongs. There's space for it. And you could slip back under the surface. breath start to stretch you out. You can breathe in, let your head rock from side to side. Let your fingers and toes start to explore the texture of the air around you. And you could stay here infinitely if you wanted to. You don't have to get up. You're in your own house. But if you did want to, you could start to stretch out or curl your knees and arms in and roll to one side. There's no hurry, but you might come and sit with your hand on your heart and your belly or wherever you need that loving touch. You could join me for Om from your place or just listen. Wishing you so much love and sweetness in this hard time. Thanks, Deb. I'm going to unmute you and you can say anything you might want to say or just bye. Thanks. And Heather, so nice to see you, and Cheryl.
Thanks, Kelly.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So nice to meet you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. It was beautiful.
And this is great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You have a fun. Tomorrow morning is, I gave you a little taste of it with that Avalokiteshvara story. We're going to talk about the goddess Tara. I have these great wild Wednesdays. So if you're around at 9 a.m. tomorrow, we get into it, don't we, Jen? It's fun.
Okay.
The song, yeah, isn't that song great, Amy?
It's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, totally.
All right. I hope you sleep well.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you
Kelly.
so much.
Bye, everybody.
Also.